Hi everybody, welcome to our Monday TNT. Some big stories today, including those two Kiwis who assaulted a policeman in Phuket. We'll get to that story very soon. Acknowledging our main sponsor, 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. More about them later as well. But let's get to this other big story today. And reported in thaipbsworld.com, Police General Surachat Hakpan summoned to acknowledge money laundering charges, and inquiry officers from Bangkok's Tung Song Hong Police Station have issued a summons for Surachat Hakpan, the Deputy National Police Chief, to acknowledge money laundering charges in connection with the BNK Master online gambling website, also known as Mini, which has been closed by the police and is under investigation. The summons will be delivered to Surachat at his residence. Well, as we'll see, that didn't go particularly well, referring here to nationthailand.com. Big joke, not at home to receive summons over money laundering charges. And Surachat, who was not at home when the police officers arrived, said he had not seen the summons and hence could not formally acknowledge it. Investigators from the Metropolitan Police Division 2 have alleged that Surachat, along with 3 other police officers and a civilian, collaborated to launder money from a gambling website, BNK Master, which was busted last year. And after the criminal court issued arrest warrants for the 3 other cops and a civilian implicated in the case, the National Police Chief, Torsak, chose to have Surachat summoned for interrogation. But when the policemen arrived at the housing estate on Sunday morning, they were stopped from entering. When they declared they were there to serve Surachat with a summons, the guard demanded to see the document first. When told the summons was confidential, the guard called his boss for advice and was told not to let the officers in if they refused to show him the summons. And footage here of Surachat walking around a Chiang Mai shopping centre. Obviously, the press had heard about the issuing of the summons and were trying to get some comment from him. The Deputy National Police Chief was in Chiang Mai to help as part of the security for the visit by the Prime Minister over the weekend. And when told by police that the guard and his boss could face charges of obstructing state officials, the man at the gate called his boss again. The guard's boss then spoke to the police team chief before officers were allowed to enter the housing estate. Now, in a phone call with The Nation later, Surachat said that he was not at home and his aides could not accept the summons on his behalf. He added that he will return home on Tuesday and will then consider whether the investigation against him is lawful and whether he should acknowledge the summons. And down the bottom there, Surachat is first in line for the top job as police chief in terms of seniority. And the current police chief reaches his retirement in September this year, so the position would become available. Looks like there are wheels upon wheels working within the top echelons of Thai police. Now to that main story of the 2 New Zealanders attacking a police officer in Phuket. And from the PhuketNews.com, Kiwi duo in ugly clash with cop, and the negative behaviour and conduct of foreigners in Phuket is once again in the spotlight after 2 men from New Zealand assaulted a police officer yesterday. And the story says the men, a 36-year-old Hamish Day and 38-year-old Oscar Madison Day. Now, I'm making the assumption without any other evidence except that they share the same surname, that they're probably brothers, but that hasn't been confirmed in any of the reports so far. They were initially should be pulled over on traffic violations before attacking the officer that was cautioning them by wrestling him to the ground and taking his firearm. Now, depending on which reports you read on this particular incident, it's not clear whether there was one officer or more police officers involved in this, and we'll try and get to more of that as we go through. And the incident occurred at around 3:50 p.m. on Saturday in Chalong, when Police Lieutenant Somsak was stationed roadside on Chao Phraya East Road conducting traffic duties. Now, the police station at Chalong is very close to the Chalong Circle on Chao Phraya East Road. I think he was very close to the police station at the time. And Officer Somsak noticed the 2 Kiwi men speeding on their motorbikes and so gestured for them to pull over, a command they completely ignored before carrying on their journey. So it appears that the police officer then got on his motorbike in pursuit of these 2 Kiwis. And a tussle ensued when Officer Somsak reached for his gun as one of the men managed to grab it from him, and a shot was fired while the other man snatched Officer Somsak's phone. Now, this part of the story is obviously very important, and it varies in different reports whether he was reaching for his gun, maybe to threaten the gentleman, or whether the two Kiwis were actually trying to grab his gun. So that does vary in different reports. And additional officers from Chalong Police Station were soon at the scene to lend assistance and managed to apprehend the two assailants before taking them to the station for questioning and to be charged. The two Kiwi men stand to face charges of jointly stealing property, jointly fighting or obstructing officials in the performance of their duties, jointly assaulting officials in the performance of their duties. So again, the question whether there was one policeman involved here or others who were also threatened. Jointly attempting to bribe officials and driving without a driver's licence. The PhuketNews.com article finishes saying, although not specifically stated in the official police report of the incident, it appears Officer Somsak had discovered neither of the Kiwi men had a driver's licence when they were stopped, and they'd potentially offered a bribe, which he declined, and which resulted in their angry response. And then it was not stated in police reports whether the two were tourists visiting Phuket or residents, or who had recorded the photographic evidence of the attack. All important questions. Now, the next version of the story comes from the PhuketExpress.com, originally printed in the PatiaNews.com, owned by the same company. And two New Zealand men arrested in Phuket for alleged brutal assault on a traffic cop. And Chalong police officers captured two New Zealand nationals who allegedly refused to pull over for a traffic offence, evaded police arrest, and were later accused of assaulting an officer who pursued them. And just going down a bit further there, the police on duty asked for cooperation from them to stop their motorbikes. So is it a policeman or is it a number of police? We can see in that photo that at least there's another person involved or a witness to the incident, and somebody obviously is holding. And after the police pursuit, the two foreigners were infuriated and allegedly attacked the police, again plural, while having the incident recorded by the police. And this part of the report differs from the Phuket News one. The situation escalated as the foreigners allegedly attempted to snatch the officer's firearm, causing the gun to fire once. Nobody was injured, according to the police. And the two Kiwis were facing harsh legal charges for conspiring to physically assault police officers and other related charges. As of press time, both men remain in police custody and have not released any statements to explain the incident. The officer who was allegedly assaulted suffered arm and leg injuries. That incident was reported in a lot of other media over the weekend. You can bet that there's going to be a lot more about this over the next 24 hours or so, and of course we'll bring you all the latest details when they come about. Thank you for dropping into TNT on a Monday morning. It's the 18th of March. Now, the Prime Minister was up in Chiang Mai. He went up on Friday and spent the weekend there. The day he arrived, Chiang Mai was listed as the #1 most polluted city in the world. In fact, it was at that rating on Thursday and Friday. So it was either a very good time for the Prime Minister to go up to see Chiang Mai at its worst, or, of course, it didn't make the experience very pleasant for him. Anyway, let's go to the story. And SATA will not declare Chiang Mai a disaster zone to protect tourism. The Prime Minister's defended its decision not to designate Chiang Mai a disaster area, despite it being blanketed by smog, saying he was trying to protect the tourism sector in the country. And posting on X on Sunday, says he made the decision after carefully consulting with all agencies, believing the status could discourage tourists from plans to visit Thailand. He said what will happen after the announcement is it will affect the number of foreign tourists when tourism has just recovered in the wake of COVID-19. He said Chiang Mai province will definitely lose tourists who plan for short and long-term stays. And that is what we're worrying about. Well, it's like in Chernobyl after the nuclear meltdown. Should we declare this a disaster area? Oh, no, it might put off tourists. And as he posted the message, Chiang Mai remained the most polluted city in the world according to IQ Air. And commenters reacted on the Prime Minister's X account, saying he's misplaced his priorities, which should focus more on the health of people in Chiang Mai than on concerns about tourism. And the province has been choked by smog for days so that people are unable to see Doi Suthep from the city as they normally do. But it looks like they've come up with some sort of resolution on, well, at least a few ways they can tackle the problems. Here's one that's posted in patiamail.com. Thailand plans corn import ban to combat pollution in northern region. And the government's taking steps to address the issue of PM 2.5 pollution, particularly in the northern region, after the Prime Minister announced a prospective ban on corn imports from neighbouring countries next year. And during a visit to Chiang Mai to assess wildfire and haze prevention efforts, Seta revealed ongoing discussions with Cambodia, Laos and the Myanmar military to tackle cross-border environmental challenges. Yeah, with all the things the Burmese military have got to worry about at the moment, I'm sure forest fires aren't one of them. Recognising the economic pressures leading to agricultural waste burning, the Premier made clear the need for innovative solutions and cooperation with the military, this is in Myanmar, to manage agricultural waste more effectively. And in addition to banning corn imports during the critical high season from January to April, the government's considering tax increases as part of its rigorous approach to combating pollution, and efforts to educate farmers on sustainable practices and recent approval of additional wildfire prevention funds are also being addressed. Now, that article was originally posted by the government's PR department, and it was headed Thailand plans corn import ban to combat PM 2.5 pollution. But while they were up there, it looks like a few other things were being done at the same time, and this reported in the patianews.com. Thai Deputy Minister of Agriculture launches royal rainmaking operation to tackle Chiang Mai's PM 2.5 crisis, and Dr. Chaya Proma, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Cooperatives, performed an inspection. He was up there on Thursday, and he issued an order to relevant agencies to urgently launch a proactive royal rainmaking operation to alleviate the PM 2.5 problems in the northern region. And the operation deployed up to 6 types of aircraft during the mission to alleviate the PM 2.5. So basically cloud seeding to try and make some rain to alleviate the problem. There he is pointing to a thing, and that obviously helps. Further, Dr. Chai issued an order to assist farmers who needed water sources for starting cultivation in agricultural areas and to support wildfire fighting missions. And the special technique for royal rain making could potentially alleviate dust particles smaller than 3 microns by 40 to 50% compared to areas without the operation. And I suspect as soon as they put the word royal in front of rainmaking that the numbers may be slightly exaggerated. And a big thanks to our sponsor, 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. They'll take you out on a bespoke charter tour onto Phangar Bay, and you'll see some beautiful islands and some magnificent beaches. Hopefully it's a day like today, which is just blue skies and light winds. We go to our next story today, and Nation Thailand reporting that 30,000 fake elephant pants seized in a raid in Bangkok warehouse. Well, they don't look like fake elephant pants, they look like real elephant pants. I think the fact that they might have been imported is the matter here. And officers from the Economic Crime Suppression Division confiscated a hoard of some 30,000 elephant pants that are believed to have been smuggled in. An initial evaluation shows the value of the pants to be around 6 million baht. The officers said they would later track down the owner of the goods and summon him or her for questioning. The owner will also be required to present proof of customs clearance. There's nothing illegal about importing things, even importing elephant pants, but I suppose they're just wanting to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And these pants in cat and elephant patterns are part of the government's Thai soft power campaign, but cheap imported versions have started flooding markets across the country. The Commerce Ministers called on the Customs Department to clamp down on the import of cheap pants from China, as they may be violating the copyrights of local manufacturers. Well, there are literally thousands of different designs, and I'm not sure whether one particular pattern has been patented, but of course they'll check those copyright violations. I would suggest we'll keep on seeing these cheap elephant pants being imported, because there's not really much they can do about it. Moving on to this next story, and it's from BangkokPost.com. 19 Thais rescued from a call scam gang in Cambodia. Now, before I go to the story, somebody commented on Saturday that I read far too much from the Bangkok Post. Bangkok Post is probably the largest English-speaking publication in Thailand. And the fact is that they collectively would be publishing more than all the other publications put together. So it's not as if I'm favouring the Bangkok Post over anybody else. They just happen to have, I think in most cases, slightly better reporting and far more numerous reports. And Cambodian officials rescued 19 Thai people from a call scam gang in Oda Menche. And the commander said on Sunday that about 30 Cambodian officials launched the rescue operation after Thai officials received a phone call for help last Thursday from one of the Thai victims lured into working for a call scam gang. And the 19 rescued people were among about 50 lured to work at a call scam centre run by Taiwanese people. The centre was at a casino complex situated near the Chong Chom border pass in Surin. And those who failed to meet their assigned daily financial targets were forced to run up and down their building or shocked with electricity. The Taiwanese scam operators escaped with their Chinese, Indian, Lao and Vietnamese forced workers before the raid on Saturday. So more raids on these border scam gangs. I do hope we continue to see a big crackdown on these activities, because it's not only these people who are lured into running these scams, but of course the millions of people that end up being scammed of, millions and billions of baht. And with that, we thank you very much for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. If you get an opportunity, we'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.